Yes. Welcome, everybody. I should turn my music off. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to this week's KubeVirt community meeting. If you can't tell, I'm still a little bit tired after KubeCon. It's the 1st of April. I should have known that. 2026, wherever you are and whenever you are, I hope you're having a lovely day. It is cloudy here. How is everyone? Do we have anyone new this week that would like to introduce themselves? I will take that as a no. We have a few things to get through, but we'd like to start with having a quick check of the shiny new schedule. This is for our next release, version 1.9. For those that aren't aware, last week we had our version 1.8 release, and now we can behold the majesty of a new schedule. The key dates to take away from here are in about 4 weeks' time, on the 30th of April, we have our VEP freeze. So if you have a VEP and you're not getting any traction, there'll be a meeting on Tuesday. We'll look at the calendar in just a second. The other key date here is the 24th of June. Keep in mind, we've got our code freeze. And then on the 22nd of July and a week after that, we have our version 1.9 GA and our CDI 1.66 release, respectively. Does anyone have any questions about our calendar while I load the next page? This is out of date. So the CFP4 KubeCon Japan closed last Sunday. The project benefits are still open for another week, I think. So that is lightning talks and a maintainer talk. I don't believe we have an intention of putting a maintainer talk. We have at least one talk put in for the main track. If you are thinking of attending KubeCon Japan and would like to represent the KubeVirt community as by doing the maintainer talk, then talk to me about it and I can submit on your behalf. Only maintainers can submit for the maintainer talk, but anyone in the community can give it. I think the dates for KubeCon China have been announced, or at least the CFP rather. So I need to update this. And if you're aware of any conferences that have CFPs open and they're not here, please let me know. This is all old news, but in the next week or two, I might just leave them here just because these will then link to where the recordings are. I'm pretty sure the recordings are added to the sessions themselves. So there's also slides and stuff if anyone's interested in picking up any of that. And by that, that's KubeCon and our own KubeVirt Summit live, which was all last week. A couple of these things we're going to talk about on the agenda, but we'll cover a couple of them here. So SIG Compute, it's not shown here, and I should change it really quickly. It is cancelled for today. I haven't seen an email about that, but I do know that it's been decided it's not going ahead. I wonder, what is this? Bear with me. Also, please note that in about 53 minutes, we have our working group AIE, which is our Accelerated Infrastructure Enablement. That was supposed to be last Thursday, but it was cancelled for many people being at KubeCon. Okay, the SIG Compute meeting has been deleted. It's gone. So this is the makeup meeting for that. But as you can see, it will return on its Thursday slot. Is Lee here? I've lost all
Yeah,
my
I'm here.
people.
Hi.
Yeah. Do you want to give a quick 10-second cap over what people can expect from that meeting?
Yeah, so this is just the initial kickoff meeting for the working group. I've previously introduced it, but we're kind of trying to enable work done upstream, well, in separate projects for CentOS, for the kernel, QEMU, and the virt, specifically at the moment enabling the video hardware. So yeah, there's already been loads of discussions at KubeCon last week. So yeah, this initial one is just gonna kind of try and capture some of that and plan out what we're going to do next with the work.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that was a pretty bang on 10 seconds. Other meetings to pay attention to is our we have our regular code quality and SIG perf scale tomorrow, but also it is our time for SIG control plane. To the best of my knowledge, those are still going ahead. Monday next week, we've also got our CI weekly as well as SIG storage and SIG network. And then next Tuesday, we've got our confidential computing um, and yeah, SIG observability, which is also that's fortnightly. Um, yeah, and then leads us back to next Wednesday. So I think that does a few of these. Itamar is not here. He shouldn't be, because it's a holiday. He sent this email to the group, so I'll do my best to cover it. Here's something I prepared earlier. So basically, our vet process is a slight victim of its own success. We now have a huge amount of EPs, and there is concern over the possibility within the community of being able to review them all, especially as we move to like an assigned reviewer slash shepherd who is like personally responsible for helping that VEP stay on track. Now, personally responsible does make it seem like it's for lack of a better term, a heavy burden on their shoulders, but it is quite lightweight. You're not solely responsible for it. It just means that rather than just a couple of people paying attention to, what is it, 70 something VEPs that we have for 1.9, that is then divvied up. And so, one person might only have to pay attention to one VEP to make sure that it's getting the attention that it needs, that the author knows what meetings to turn up to in case they don't, and to tap someone on the shoulder to say, hey, this also needs your attention, or, it'd be great to have a review, something like that. And so I feel like there was something. So if you have a VEP and would like it to be reviewed and doesn't already have a reviewer, a great way for uh, getting a reviewer, as he points out, is to offer yourself as a reviewer. Um, yeah, like I said, and someone else can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you don't have to be, I think, an SME for um, the particular technology that the VEP is dealing with, because it's kind of more of an administrative part of it, making sure that the VEP looks good, um, and providing reviews and feedback in a way that makes sense to you, but also making sure that it's getting visibility amongst other people that might be able to give a more in-depth review is kind of more the responsibility I think we're talking about here. Does anyone have anything they would like to add to that? Okay. And I've just linked here, as Itamar did, to the 1.9 project board. Oh, it's also worth calling out this part. If you do not have a reviewer, then that means that the VEP is not going to be accepted. I think it says that somewhere. So yes, it is under your best interest as a VEP author to ensure that you have a reviewer. Highly important. CDI version 1.65 was released today. Unfortunately, I don't have the horn. And thank you very much to the CDI team. Well, congratulations to the CDI team, and also thank you very much for keeping with the April Fool's Day release. We talked about AIE. There's a link to the calendar. What's not on the calendar is, because I haven't put it there yet, we have a special VEP meeting for VEP 17. And that's going to be April 15th. So 2 weeks time, 1 hour before this meeting, which I've been told is 12 o'clock UTC, thanks to recent changes in some time zones. And there is a link to that enhancement. So that was decided in yesterday's VEP meeting, I believe. Did someone want to say something?
Yes. I just wanted to mention, so with web reviewers now being quotes required for each web, is it a good idea if like me or like someone opens a PR to add that to the web issue template to, hey, who's your reviewer? Just so people, just so we can achieve like wider awareness.
That is a great question. I thought Idemar mentioned that there's now a column that's added to the project board. I'm not sure. That might already be taken care of or might have already been thought of. Unfortunately, the best people to answer that aren't here. Does anyone else know if this is catered for already in the template, or are we able to pick that up some other way? We have a VEP reviewer. Good question. Are you able to pose that question in that thread, please?
Yep, sure.
Awesome. Thank you. So we had our first KubeVirt Summit live, our first in-person event last week as part of KubeCon, Cloud Native Con. It went super duper well. Yeah, I was a bit worried because it was on the last day, and it's often a day that people leave. But we had pretty much a full house for all the talks, the entire 2.5 hours. And that was really exciting to see. I don't know when the recordings are coming up, but I think at KubeCon typically they've gotten pretty quick. I think they're just a couple of weeks, maybe less than that. From the community, and I'm missing someone here, I recognize. We had Miguel, Nurani, Brian, Alice, Ryan, Daniel, Alay, Lubo, Jan, Srija, as well as some new friends from, I've written down, NVIDIA, SK Telecom, NetApp, and Hitachi, who presented the event. And so, like I said, the events page still has a link to those links, and you can see what the topics that we're talking about. And hopefully we'll see some recordings soon. I've done a lot of talking. There's just one more thing on our agenda at the moment, and I'm going to pass over to Lee to talk about it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize you had this down. So,
I just threw you under the bus.
yeah, that's cool. I'll pick myself up. Yeah, so I've been sitting on this project for a little while. It's heavily based on an existing project, OpenShift AI helpers. It's a simple repo of Claude skills. This particular project is obviously heavily focused at KubeVirt skills. There are also some recently added ambient code workflows in there as well. That's a different upstream open source project for agentic code workflows. Yeah, I'm opening it up. It's been sitting under my on my personal namespace for a while. I'm very much interested in getting some feedback from the community if they think these type of skills are useful, specific to KubeVirt. If this kind of approach to providing this kind of infrastructure is useful. and if it's potentially something that folks think could live under the KubeVirt org eventually, potentially. The CI portion of all of this, that there are skills, but then behind the skills, there is a separate project called Health Check that I've also been working on in the background for quite a long time and sitting on. It is just a very opinionated CLI for looking through KubeVirt Prow CI issues, analyzing them, analyzing issues with the merge queue, the lanes, all of that kind of stuff. Even has an MCP server that you can launch to kind of interact with it and everything. So yeah, that's how it's pulling in all of the CI related stuff. It's a requirement to have it installed before you use the skills as well. But yeah, feedback on that project as well would be appreciated. I don't think that'll end up under the KubeVirt org. I've spoken to various people about it in the past, but yeah, it's a very sloppy project if you get my meaning. But yeah, that's the email was just to kind of introduce it, get it out there in the open, air it out, see what folks think, get some feedback, and potentially with the skills, eventually transition it over under KubeVirt, under the KubeVirt org, and go from there. So yeah, feedback very much welcome.
I, for one, was very excited to see this email because it's something that we've been talking about last week at KubeCon about, yeah, how can we make sense to take care of a lot of the general kind of low-hanging stuff, let the robots take care of the stuff that we as community can agree that, you know, should always be consistent and can just take that load off any subsequent reviews that come. And so the human reviewers can pay more attention to the important stuff. So this is super awesome that you're already so far along. So yeah, thank you, Lee, for that. So that brings us to the end of our agenda. I don't see anyone has added anything up there. We had more on the agenda than I was expecting. I'm happy to leave it there. Again, I just want to reiterate, SIG Compute is cancelled, so don't wait around for that. But the AIE meeting is in now 40 minutes. Does anyone have anything before we go that they'd like to add, ask, or just comment on? Then we'll leave it there and you can have your time back. Thanks everyone for being here, for adding. Thank you to all the people who we got to see last week at KubeCon, whether you're one of the lovely people from the core community that we got to hang out with, or whether you were just passing by at our booth. Yeah, it was really exciting to put faces to names, stuff like that. So thanks everybody. I hope to see you next week.
So bye.
Thanks. Thanks, Andrew. See you. Bye.
Bye.